Mr. Abdul Muttalib is cooperating again. Guess what? That problem we had of not getting information out of this Al-Qaeda guy, it's all over now.
There's breaking news tonight about the man accused of trying to blow up Northwest Airlines Flight 253 over Detroit on Christmas Day. He is talking. More than that, we are learning tonight Umar Farouk Abdul Muttalib, the alleged would-be suicide bomber, is giving up current actionable intelligence about the group Al-Qaeda in the Arabian Peninsula without the U.S. using any of the methods approved by the Bush administration and defended to this day by the Republican Party.
This actionable information, of course, is 5 weeks after the attack. As Stephen Hayes points out, intelligence is perishable unless you're at MSNBC.
No waterboarding, no beatings, no sleep deprivation, no military commission, no dishonor to this nation.
Well, why not? Why would it be dishonorable?
They brought in his grandma.
Bring in daddy. Come on, you've been a little dope. You might as well help yourself.
Abdul Muttalib is cooperating freely with the FBI, providing, quote, very valuable intelligence, a U.S. official says, the U.S. is now acting on in Yemen. NBC News Justice correspondent Pete Williams reports after the U.S. government gave Abdul Muttalib the rights enumerated in the Constitution. He has a lawyer. He got due process. He got his Miranda warning. He will get a trial. And NBC News Chief White House correspondent Chuck Todd, quoting a senior administration official, says the FBI did it by going to Nigeria and rather than threatening his family, getting their help.
Now, as Stephen Hayes writes, the fact that he is cooperating now, if in fact he is cooperating, that's my insertion. I'm not sure I completely believe this. But the fact that he is cooperating now should not obscure the gross mishandling of the incident by the Obama administration in the first place. John Alter was on with Bathtub Boy. He was so relieved that Obama's off the hook.
What just happened here?
This was a big triumph for the rule of law and a lucky break for the Obama administration.
Lucky break?
Yep. It's a lucky break.
Well, what was the lucky break?
The daddy was able to talk him into talking.
Well, didn't they have a lucky break that his underwear didn't blow up in the first place?
Yeah.
Didn't they have a lucky bad break or an unlucky break that all of their people were asleep on Christmas vacation when this was going on and they really couldn't react well?
If this had gone the other way, the heat would have stayed on from the Republicans. This lets us say...
wait a minute. Let's who say? Let's us say? Is Alter going to work for the White House where I wasn't looking?
Years ago.
But he still works for Newsweek, doesn't he?
Yeah.
This lets us say what, John?
As FBI Director Mueller did, that our system works, that there is no fundamental clash between national security and our values. And that's the message the president's been trying to deliver since his inaugural address, and it was reinforced tonight.
And everybody knows it's crap. It is complete crap. There is a fundamental clash between our national security and our justice system.
What if there was an operation planned a week later and they had to wait 6 weeks for daddy to show up?
It would have been successful.
Obviously, Pete King and Hoekstra and Giuliani are not going to say, we were wrong, the system does work, we're sorry.
No, they're not going to say it because they weren't wrong.
Yeah. I mean, even though that last Washington Post poll said 62% specifically approved the way Obama had handled the Detroit case before this development, where, gosh, the system works and cooperation with the family.
Why do I listen to him anymore? Is anybody listening to him? Is anybody listening to this guy at all? I mean, he's going to be fired. The whole crew over there at MSNBC is going to be fired when the new owners show up. They are all failing, and they're all liars.
And what they don't get, and I wish they would look into their souls a little bit, is that if they convey over and over again that the President of the United States is weak, what does that do? It emboldens the terrorists. And
is he talking about the Democrats and the way they handled George Bush?
No.
Oh, he's talking about Republicans and the way they criticized Barack Obama? But he's criticizing the exact technique they used to bring Bush down?
Don't say that lightly. But think of terrorists overseas or at home who might be plotting an attack. If they think that the president is weak, which he is not, he is manifestly not. He's killed twice as many of them, not to put too fine a point on it, with his predators as his predecessor did.
it was his predecessor's program. His predecessor had just started in the last 6 months of his administration with those Predators with their Hellfire missiles. Obama just carried it on. He never would have started it. He's against, well, now he embraces it. He embraced a Bush policy, and they're criticizing Bush over it?
He's not weak, but if they continue to convey that he is weak, that gives serious help to the terrorists. So I think the pressure should now be on these Republicans. Aren't you helping the terrorists?
Wait a minute.
So this line is a bunch of hooey.
Wait a minute. When we were asking Democrats, aren't you helping the terrorists in Iraq by undermining General Petraeus, by undermining President Bush, by undermining the war? Aren't you helping to? Oh, you can't ask a question like that. But now it's perfectly okay. If we say, gee, we think the president is screwing things up by letting Eric Holder be in charge of counterterrorism rather than the people whose job it actually is, that somehow we're emboldening terrorists?
NBC News can't confirm the story that there was a deal cut so it doesn't face the death penalty. But is that where the Republicans will come back? Like, well, we're not going to get to hang him. We're not going to get to execute him. We're not going to get. But yeah. And the point to that, of course, is don't you want that out in a terrorist's mind at the last moment? If I choose, if there's something caused Richard Reed, as an example, not to go into the bathroom where he would have been able to destroy that plane without anybody interfering with him, to stay in his seat and try to light his shoes on fire with people sitting all around him. Some doubt existed in his mind. Don't you want to reward that doubt by saying, if you don't do it and you cooperate, we're not going to kill you. If you don't want to kill yourself, we're not going to kill you for you.
What? Man. Now, there is a counterterrorism policy. Can we please have that carved into stone?
Yeah, I mean, you want to use every tool at your disposal in the same way that what apparently has gotten this guy to talk is that his father, who tried to warn the embassy about him, was brought over. His family was brought over. Now, if you were in a military situation, that would not happen.
Why would that not happen? Why would the CIA not have gone? The CIA, who was contacted first by the father, why would the CIA not have gone to the father and brought him to the interrogation room and said, help us out with him? I mean, what an absurd assumption. These guys are covering Barack Obama's exposed rear end.
Would the Hig interrogate him? Would he be read his Miranda rights?
Yeah. What?
If Osama bin Laden were captured, I would very much hope that the Hig would interrogate him and squeeze all the information out of him
prior to Mirandizing him.
I'm not going to talk about.
That's sad and pathetic.
That was Senator Kit Bond asking a question of Dennis Blair, the head of the director of national intelligence. Frank in Michigan.
You would not want UBL interrogated because if he was, he would tell the truth that he's an accomplice to Dick Cheney and the Republican Party.
Oh,
yes.
This is synthetic terror.
That's a good point.
Bush allowed the attack to occur so they could take power. And Republicans, and you're part of the operation, you work for the Republican Party, you frighten people every day with made-up stories of non-existent
Did the Jews do it, Frank?
No. Cheney was quite capable of doing it himself.
I see. So Dick Cheney and George Bush planned 9/11.
Yes. And most people
and did they carry out the attack themselves?
They didn't have to. They just didn't stop it.
I see.
Are you a shapeshifter?
Please. You want to mock me, but the truth.
Oh, do I ever want to mock you?
Because you're.
You have no idea how I want to mock you.
You're a shallow thinker.
Like that Loch Ness monster.
Right. Only a fool would believe the line the Republican Party puts out. They're in control of things. If there weren't any subsequent successful terror attacks, it's only because Bush and Cheney got what they needed.
I see. What was it they
got all that oil we didn't get?
What was it they needed? What was their big score out of that?
The big score was almost $9 billion in currency transferred from the Federal Reserve to Iraq, and Paul Bremer, the so-called viceroy.
He took it.
No, it was first taken by Cheney and Bush and a host of other people.
For the Illuminati, right?
There you go. It was just a robbery. The 9/11 was nothing more than an elaborate bodega robbery. Frank,
who'd have thunk it?
Thank you for calling in and straightening us all out on that.
John, slang for bathroom. A hooker's trick.
We love you long time.
And Gibson, John Gibson.
John's a very common name.